Hello and welcome back to Introduction to Information Technology 2. I'm Riovan Stikroring, still your lecturer for this course. We arrived to the sixth meetings, and today we are going to focus and discuss the alternative or the choice of your uses of information technology using advanced web-based information technology. So the previous meeting, we focused on mobile technology as one of the solution. But today, I would also like to give you a brief explanation about the web-based information technology, but the use in advanced level. So let's start with the explanation and the definition of information technology itself. So as you may know, information technology is one of the huge advantage that we can use today, whether it is for our own personal use or even when we are going to use it at other uses such as businesses or in another fields like health, in government, or even in creative industry as well. And let's take a look with the definition of IT first. So what is information technology, or for short we call it IT? IT refers to everything that businesses use computers for. So this means it uh, usually used for businesses purpose, but we know today that this uh, is not true anymore, because IT could be used not only for businesses, but for its original uses. This is correct as well, because information technology is a tool that build communication networks for a company. It should be able to safeguarding data and information. That's why IT is important for the development and uh, the progress of a company. So it would also create and administer databases as well. That we know databases is used to help on not only management but also to create uh, information that usually classified as important for the businesses. It also helped the employees to face problems, to troubleshoot and give a solution with their computers or mobile devices as well, or doing a range of other work that ensure the efficiency and security in businesses information system. It also demands the use of professionals in this uh, field, which is high and growing, and people could also enter a wide field or a wide range of career paths to choose from, because IT is a huge field. We can have a can have a specialized IT that focus on this discussion, which is the web based. The previous one we also have IT in mobile technology, and probably we could also specialize in cloud technology that we discussed in previous meetings as well. And that's a huge thing that could be choose from for the future of your career paths as well. So it's not only based on computer but also in different kind of range. Next, let's define the meaning of advanced technology. Advanced technology is the path of information technology, but still could be say that immature, but promise to deliver a significant value for the users, whether that as the uh, businesses or even the users as customer or consumer as well. Or we could also say that advanced technology has some technical maturity, but still has relatively few users, which means not a lot of people know about this advanced technology. Among the current examples, we have AI, which is the artificial intelligence. We have agents. We have speech and handwriting recognition. We have virtual reality and 3D visualization, smart cards, real-time collaboration, enhanced user authentication, data mining, and also knowledge management. Some of these examples uh, has probably become popular also during the pandemic, because we realized that we need this kind of advanced technology in our daily life to solve our problem, which is the current problem is the pandemic, where we have to communicate with each other whether the society is ready or not. That's why we need to make sure we know the definition of this advanced technology. After we understand the definition of information technology, advanced technology, now we can move forward to the definition of advanced information technology, which is the use of web-based technology. So advanced web-based information technology is a technology that we use in World Wide Web, or for short we are known as WWW, and it is underlying technologies which are increasingly gaining importance for the development in uh, a lot of interactive application, especially in web-based application. So in order to be proficient, this web-based technology has to possess the following knowledge and skills, which is the understanding of development, concept in and technology, the ability to express business logic in terms of data, the skills to build a dynamic user interface or UI and content using data-driven objects. We also need to make sure that the skills to extract, modify, and insert data through a web interface is, is added to the skills that we need. We also need to know that we have an understanding of the architecture of a distributed web application. This is what we need before we begin to use advanced web-based technology. It's also a typical information that the users need in order to initiate and interact with the technology. It also needs a server where it detects the request which is sent as a web page to the client, not only as the user and as the user, the customer, but also as the owner or uh, the developer of that web-based technology. The web-based technology is also need to be formed into one simple page that we call web page, and send those kind of information that is written in a programming language. It's usually use the main language, but it's not categorized as programming language, but simply says as a language, which is the name of HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. So it's basically not a programming language, but a base language that we use in the computer. And it gives an output of HTML files, which is the web-based page, where it is executed in a browser, and uh, it is visible to the user after some certain process that the web browser use. We also need to understand that the web page as an output from the process in web-based information technology is stored on what we call server, and it can be a combination of HTML and other coding language, which is the programming language. that we know. For example, the popular one, which is the PHP, it stands for two things, which is the first one, PHP is personal home page, but it's also stand for PHP hypertext preprocessor. So it has two deep meaning of programming language, which is the focus and the main uses in programming language that usually combined with HTML. So this language could also be one with what we say reduced functionality called a scripting language. For example, we have JavaScript as well. So this JavaScript is still a programming language, but only focus in certain condition. So that's why it's not entirely complete, but it is part of some bigger programming language, which is Java language. But this JavaScript is usually a simple tools, simple language that could be also used in web-based information technology. Now let me give you some more example. We have what we call active server pages, or what I also described earlier in previous meeting about ASP. And today the name is ASPX, and it is developed by Microsoft as well. So when you're opening a browser, you go surfing to a website. Sometimes when you see the address, the website address or the URL, it converts the end of the website address with something that shown as .aspx. So when this happens, users usually knows that the website is based on what we call ASP programming language. So this is a web development technology, and it is also the same as PHP, which is the server-side software, and it can be used with what we call the Visual Studio that I also described in earlier meeting, which is the integrated development environment, if you are going to use that. And this is a technology that could also become one of our tools if we wanted to use this thing. But uh, for this ASP, it's quite expensive. It needs a lot of resources to be used, because the server should be using Windows servers, not not Linux one that usually open source. The Microsoft needed to be bought the license, and that's not just a common license. Usually when we have PC and using uh, Microsoft Windows 11, 10, or etc., we have professional, we have education license, but this one is different. We need Microsoft Server license. That it's from what I learned before, it's not quite cheap. No, not or unlike the PHP server that we use, and that should be one of. So in order to develop a web application or web-based technology, it's not necessary to have what we call client computer or a server computer connected over the internet. We can use what we call web server, and can be used as a solution to provide a web-based application. And this is in what we call program that could be installed on the same PC, or installed in a web browser as an extension. This complete development of the web application can then take place, and when finished, the files can be uploaded to what we call an external web host. So when writing programming code for what web application, you need to know how to conform to the best practice. This includes what we call the object-oriented programming (OOP) methods that usually be used in web development. The problems needs to be expressed in terms of objects. So it's divided into objects and divided into categories and divided into certain data as well. So each object is a member of what we call a predefined class, and that has methods associated with it. So in this web-based application, it is also possible for several users to be interacting with the same technology, the same web-based technology at the same time. This could be accessed by using the programming code, but it's also need to be observed that programming code has to be able to cope with this kind of interaction that need to be accessed by several or multi-user at the same time. So the variable used in the code that are what we call dependent on individual should be used as an isolated variables from the variable that we specifically for individual use. So we refer this kind of uh, use as a session. So when we are doing what we call a session, when someone try to log in, we will give them what we call session. So when you aware that sometimes when we are logging through the system in the internet, sometimes we are logged out automatically. So this is where the session come from. So the value of the session variable for a user are lost when the user ceases using the website. So it's basically set up by the developer uh, himself. So he could control whether the user would have certain session, maybe just a short time for 5 minutes for its security, or to make the user feel comfortable when accessing the system. They could uh, set the value of the session to maybe 1 month or even a year. So uh, basically it's quite flexible for the developer to use this kind of session. So these kind of things should be overcome with what we call values as well. Then it could also be stored in the user's PC. We call that thing a cookie. So the cookie is a data that usually stored in the PC to make sure the authentication of the session is correct. So the user, when he will use the cookie and access the session, and it would uh, progressing well with the web-based information technology. Now let's discuss about the security in this web-based application. So security of the system is should be observed and also be seen in what we call database connection. So we need to make sure that the security of our database in web-based application is become our first priority, because we have some kind of cases popular before called injection into database. Usually when we are going with web-based application, we have SQL database server that sometimes before we have some issues with what we call SQL injection. So they inject some kind of syntax or command to extract data or even to destroy the data in the database. And that's why security is one of the important things that we need to overview in web-based application. So in order to make sure it's safe, we need to restrict the access to the website. That's why a username, as the user have a password as well, a login control, but that should be it shouldn't be enough as well, because the login only requires user to enter a username and password, and sometimes it won't be enough. We know that some bad people can use what we call web deface to try to steal our password. So they made uh, a website that looks like a login to our social media in order to take our password and do bad things with it. So that's why we have other steps to be taken too, such as we have two-step verification, which includes the algorithm of blockchain algorithm. We will know about that later. So basically, what we need to know that the software engineers that make this kind of web-based technology needs to have an awareness of these activities. So that's making the application is not enough. We also need to be up to date with the activities of what we call the bad people, the hacker, what they can do, what kind of new methods that they do to steal the password to try to breach in our system. For example, when they are completing to entry on a web-based form, this hacker could enter some text and some programming code into a field. That this is what we call injection as well. So if the web application simply concatenates strings and makes no allowance for this malicious type of input, then the hacker can change the logic used in the web application, and that's why security should be an important discussion if we are going to develop in using this web-based application or information technology. Now let's see the benefits of using web-based technology. So the first the benefits that we can feel if we are using the web-based technology is the compatibility of cross-platform technique. So we can access this almost anywhere in our information technology, such as smartphone, PC, tablets, or what kind of technology, even the game technology, such as PS, Xbox, and even Nintendo one, where right now those kind of technology have browser support that we can surf the internet as long as we have the internet connection as well. So most web-based technology are far more compatible than what we call installed software. This typically only need a minimum requirement. So a lot of technology could use. So you can choose between any kind of internet browser you prefer, such as Internet Explorer or it died. So we have Microsoft Edge as well. We have Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and a lot more. I personally use Chrome because I am really comfortable using Google products, but it's up to you to choose whether what kind of technology that you like. The second benefit is web-based technology is more manageable. So it quite different with the mobile technology. So because web application development system need only be installed on the server, placing minimal requirement on the end user workstation. The maintaining and updating of the system is much more simpler. You just need to connect by the browser. You don't need to install anything anymore. As long as it is connected, the client can update and be deployed via the browser. So it could be managed easier. It's also highly deployable because manageability and cross-platform supports for deploying web application for any platform is a type of friendly work environment. It's easy to deploy, it's easy to set up, and it is ideal where the bandwidth is limited and the system, the data is remoted. You need to be in, you can be anywhere to use this technology. So it is more deployable. You just need to simply send the URL or the website address and log in and provide an internet access, and then you can access the internet. It's also secure because the data is connected real time, because large and complex systems carry more data and have separate system and data source. Meanwhile, in web-based system, the system and process can be often be consolidated by reducing the needs to have those kind of system. So it connect the data and proven to be secure, even though there are some holes that could potentially break the security, but the common use of web-based is secure unless we did something that not supposed to do. It could potentially increase the risk of the security of that web-based information technology. The last one of the benefit is the cost. So we can get a cheaper system because we don't have to buy infrastructure. We don't need a lot of technical supports, because sometimes when we have web-based technology using hosting or using visual private server, uh, they have their own team to manage the technology. So we don't have to pay more for that. We don't have to recruit another technical person to do that. So it's more for the reduced cost because the lower requirements that it gives. But aside from the benefits, we also have problems that related to this web-based technology, because one of the cornerstone of businesses today is the digital environment, to ensure the web application that the businesses use is user friendly and also runs smoothly. So a well oiled system and its application represent the face of those businesses. So in ideal scenario, they they could also serve as a mark of reliability, innovation, and even progress. So there are a number of roadblocks. There are a number of problems that is related to the use of web-based technology, especially when developing their web application or changing the interface of their design or increasing the scale of their operation. Or some of the most common use includes the presence of slow servers, poorly written code, and duplicate detailed tags. So uh, I will give you some example, actually 7 example of the most common web application performance roadblocks. The first one is DNS issues and networking connectivity. The second one is slow server and loading time. We also have the problem of poorly written code, lack of balancing, traffic spikes, specific HTML title tag, and even the failing to optimize the bandwidth usage. So let's discuss first with what we call DNS issues or the problem with network connectivity. So in web-based technology, we have what we call domain name server. Domain name server is a technology that introduce the name of our website. So basically, our website is known in internet protocol or IP, but sometimes the society, the users, the people aren't able to figure out or remember those IP. So instead, we use domain names, and DNS is the one to introduce the name to the user. So we will have an issues with this kind of DNS because uh, without the proper protection, some of the name could be um, used falsely by bad people, by the hackers, to try to introduce themselves as our website, because DNS are having a lot of time of um, introducing our IP as domain name. Sometimes not not our IP become the name for the domain, and it become a problem. Sometimes people mistakenly enter that kind of thing. So that's why we have SSL. We have instead of using the ordinary HTTP, we now need to connect using HTTPS. So when we see issues in the DNS, the name is not certified, we will know that this one have DNS issues. This one has also a network connectivity that suppose we have to connect to the server in US, but because of some hacker or some bad people, they use then as device, and we go to another place, not the US, but go to Europe where the hacker have their system set up to steal from us or to do bad things to us. So that's why some of the solution is also known with HTTPS, and we can easily see that by looking up the log the log icons in our URL. Even that sometimes even the society, the people uh, doesn't really realize that they are connected into a bad website, and sometimes the web browser security takes place and they keep us secure. So that's why uh, if we are using browser, internet browser, we need to make sure that our internet browser is up to date, because if it is up to date, it also could prevent on this kind. The second issue is the issue of slow connection. So sometimes when we are using web-based technology, we have some kind of maximum capacity or usage that we can use for our servers. So sometimes when a lot of people, a lot of users are connected to our website or our web-based technology, the usage of our server would increase to a high or maximum capacity. Then it will it would sometimes make the website slows, or even not only because of our maximum usage of our server, but sometimes the internet connection that usually happen from our user. Sometimes they have bad connection, and it comes to uh, problems that we can solve, because the connection is mainly could be managed by the user itself. They need to change into another internet service provider. They need to change their internet in order to access this web-based technology. And honestly, up until now, we still have this kind of problem, because sometimes the people get mad at us as the developer of the website. Why this is so slow? But we can't do anything because the internet connection that they use is so slow, and it making the website, the web-based technology, have a bad loading time. So that's why sometimes we do it the traditional way when we are going to face those kind of users. So we need to explain to them, I'm sorry, this is not in our site, and you need to change your internet connection. And sometimes dealing with users like that, it won't become a happy ending. Sometimes the user would be, oh, this service is bad, and honestly we can't do anything with that. There is still the disadvantage of this web-based technology. The next one is the problem when we are having an unexperienced programmer or software engineers that uh, write the code poorly. So the another web application performance problem when we are taking task by task in order to do small things rather than go straight forward with the coding. Some of new programmer, new software engineers try to take a bad step. Instead of going with this slow, straightforward roads, they are making turns, making a lot of trips in order to do something uh, that completely the same. So it is could potentially become a problem into another problem, such as inefficient coding structure, even comes to a memory leaks when we are going too much task for a simple output, or even a synchronization issues, because this take too much time. It even try to save the data twice instead of one, and also could make a deadlock due to ineffectual algorithms that the programmers use, as well as the performance degradation of our system in web-based system. So there's also a problem with outsourcing of software or integrated legacy system that usually happen with the web-based technology that is not maintenance maintained weekly or periodically, and it could decrease the performance of our system. So to resolve this kind of issue, we can ask our users to report to us whether we are doing something wrong. So that's why when you are accessing, for example, some of web-based system, we have some kind of report button. So the users could also report to us and have this kind of issue fixed in the next pages of in the next updates of our system. So it should be resolving if we try to have a collaboration with our users as well. So we also have the problem with what we call lack of balancing. So lack of balancing is what we call slow response times, which are caused by poor load of distribution. This usually happen when we are going with cloud technology, because sometimes with bad management of cloud technology, the distribution of our workloads or of our web-based technology would become slow in terms of response time. So it can drown out users if we have a slow response time, or even the server with under capacity based server. It would be an issue that makes the server receive too many requests before making a response. So we have what we call response and request. The request usually made by the user accessing our system, and response is a term from for our server where we give a callback or response to the user. So it basically input by the user and output by the server. So this kind of issue could be solved by implementing what we call SOA, service-oriented architecture, where it can help with scalability issues and when more servers are added. This design tool calls application components to provide services to the site's other components through the communication protocol. So it should be a good um, solution if we are able to implement this service-oriented architecture, or what we call in short SOA. So the next issue is traffic spikes. So spikes happen especially during use of web-based technology. It includes multimedia content such as marketing promotion with videos, and it may make us as a developer, as the owner of business, to be not be prepared for extra traffic, extra data that uh, connected with our response and also request by the users using internet connection. So this issue can also cause the users server to slow down, hindering the performance of the sites and harming us as the developer, and even with our brand if we have one in our web-based technology. So the solution is setting up an early warning system, so we can warn us when we simulate user monitoring systems. I recommend you use what we call NeoSense. Doing this kind of things would help us as a developer to see the traffic, observe whether we need to increase our capacity or not, and try to see is the transaction impact the users before it affect the user negatively. in the future. So we can prevent this by using a monitoring system. Okay, the next one is the issue with what we have, such what we call title tag, where sometimes when we are code, when we use HTML as our web-based fundamentals technology, sometimes the HTML have specific tags that uh, could affect its performance, such as the title, where uh, usually become an essential variables to the performance or the popularity of our web-based technology. If we are going to focus on the promotion of our web-based technology, sometimes using a specific title could uh, could become a burden to our technology, because sometimes using specific HTML title would make our system not recognizable at search engine, because search engine is one of the uh, tools to make our name known. So the solution is we can use search engine optimizer method, where we can search our name using Google. So there is some things like uh, code, like site, and then you type your domain name.com. And usually we can also use tools by Google, such as Google Search Console, to analyze this kind of issue as well. So the tools will offer you information of your HTML errors, such as missing title tags or duplicate meta description, missing description, and more solutions. So the last one is about the issue where we fail to optimize our bandwidth usage. So when we are developing and testing a site, uh, business often rely on a local network environment, and this may not seem like an issue at first, because adding visual, audio, video, or other high volume data may not affect users' local network. However, this kind of thing make the consumers accessing the website at home through their smartphones may face a series of issues where they were not anticipating it. So the solution is we can optimize the bandwidth use to perform a boost. So some of the elements they can include are the minification of JavaScript, where this is an extension as well, or we can use the minification of CSS, server-side HTTP compression and optimization, and also image size resolution and re image size and resolution, to make sure that our user that access using smartphone, using limited resources, or even uh, need to pay more to access using mobile phone internet, uh, wouldn't fall to this kind of issue. So that's all the issue that we need to address when we are going to web-based technology. Let's also discuss the history of evolution of the web-based technology. So we have why we are going to discuss the evolution of web. So we have a new introduction of web, where we are standing on web 3.0 technology that we need to use, where we perform semantic technologies. So back in the PC era and back in 1980s, where the internet are first introduced, we have a desktop to enable us to access the internet. So this is the first one, the first local area network and internet-based network that we call also Web 1.0. This is the World Wide Web that is connected today, that we can use multimedia as well to connect and to gather data. But in certain way, we have Web 2.0, where we have a broadband connection. So we are not limited to connection. However, some of us may have a connection problem in certain area, but commonly this is what we have today. We can easily connect in matter of millisecond as well. So there are two kind of technology based on Web 2.0. So we have what we call Web 2.5, where this is the real evolution that happening now. It has broadband, it has mobile computing, but we have theoretical as well that we need to do, where this is the first step where we are going with Web 3.0, for the semantic web, where everything is good to be known. And hopefully the future of our web-based technology would go to Web 4.0, where web website is an operating system. But this is I think would be take some more times. But let's discuss first with the evolution. So what is the Web 3.0? The Web 3.0, also referred as what we call semantic web or read, write, execute, is the era of 2010, hopefully, but some of us still facing with Web 2.5 or even Web 2.0, which also refers to the future of web. So in this era, computers can interpret information like humans by using artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI, and also machine learning, which help to intelligently generate and distribute useful content tailored to a particular need of a user. So Web 3.0 is um, technology to what if computers can understand meaning behind information, they can learn hidden information as well. So what if they can learn what we are interested in, so they can produce an offer, a product for us, or where they can also help us what we wanted to do by simply giving a keywords, not even a complete sentence. So uh, it could be also technology that could recognize people by their face, or maybe the place that they they are standing right now, using uh, geo-based system, events, companies, products, movie, etc. And technology that could also understand relationship between objects, between things. So this is the potential of Web 3.0 technology. It's also could focus on what we call blockchain technology, where it have many improvements over the old version, where the 2.0 was, and it has the potential to transform our world into a better experience, into a new world even. So the major drawback of a version like point web point 1 and web 2.0 was in the client server architecture, where that is limited. But in 3.0, we can have blockchains, which adds incredible values to the features of Web 3.0 by eliminating and fixing the undermining issues of older version. So let's take a look at a list of features of the blockchain and the Web 3.0 that has to offer. So it has the increased security, it has the increase of privacy, where we can focus on maintaining our privacy online anonymously. We can also have an increase of interoperability. We don't need to have permission to access information as well. And the most important thing is the semantic web, where 3.0 web tries to understand web content using human-like behavior. So it acts as human. So this is what the semantic web is all about. It's about the integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques to teach the computer use to understand the data, and also how it should behave. So not only by the increased security that we need uh, to the technology need to provide a seamless user to trade experience without thinking of issue related. We also not only think about the privacy. We try to hide our information in the web because sometimes they use it wrongly. Some bad people, some hackers try to enter our privacy online and use bad things to it. We not only focus on interoperability that give us or allow us to access the data across various applications. We not only focus on the uh, permissionless where we can access data information online, but what we focus more is the semantic web where the system, the technology act as a human that seen as us, but also in a controlled environment where we still could make a mitigation when the system or the technology becomes bad in a certain ways that we don't know what could happen. But still, it is a good opportunity. We take a safety measurement as well, and hopefully, this would go well in the future. We don't want to uh, be something like the Terminator movies that some. So let's talk more about how the AI be used in artificial intelligence. So some may some of you may have a question: how could a system become close to a human? So AI could be used by a method that we call artificial neural network that focus on processing inputs using layers by layers. This is almost identically the same way the human thinks. So it has some kind of connection in our brain that how we process things, and by the discovery of our technology we can digitalize that kind of method, method that our human brain used to think. So an AI on the web will make a judgment calls using brains that think similar to us in using neurons. If we say it in our brains, we use that kind of things in our technology as well, and it successfully uh, do the process to judge whether we have to make a judgment call. So for example, some organization have already created an intelligent application that can make prediction about a song that could be popular in the future from college music websites. So the potential application of AI are hard to wrap one's mind around, but will likely be seen in areas such as search engine result ranking. So sometimes it makes us wonder as well, how could the Google give us the answer that we need to do by just giving us the algorithm? This is why AI has become a important thing, even though that it has some disadvantages as well. It also could personalize our content filtering services, so we don't uh, really have to be worried for our younger generation to access content that is not for their age. It's also have a similar application that produce data-driven content recommendation for us to even for us in entertainment would like to see. For example, we could have movie recommended recommendation. Sometimes we need that because we don't know what we want to watch, and uh, my personal opinion, I don't want to watch things that waste my time, maybe because it has bad endings or it doesn't have any kind of genre that I like, but I waste time watching it. So that's why things like this is also important. So, based on what we discussed today, the topics of our web-based technology, how the AI could be used in our web-based technology, especially in the future generation of technology, we can come into a conclusion that web-based application can offer competitive advantages to traditional based systems such as software or even the mobile technology by allowing the businesses to streamline information and process things, business things with reduced cost. It's also worth developing a website with higher than expected traffic that may lead to issues that require increased scalability. That's why we need to make a mitigation plans in order to resolve this kind of situation. So many of these problems boil down to the coding of the sites. That means that we sometimes uh, not capable of programming, and we create new programmers that could get things done, but they done it with bad coding, and it comes to new problems. That's why we need to make sure we have the mitigation for it. We are not making bad acquisition because of the bad programmer, the bad coding, but we focus on the solution, such as we try to collaborate with our users, where we are trying to make a new content and new features that allow our users to report to us of the slow problem, slow connection, or maybe some coding error that uh, it installed or processing in our web-based system. So this could be also a solution. While also there could be what we call others issues that related to our servers, where we need to have mitigation, but sometimes we need to have better um, servers, and sometimes it costs a lot of money. But when this kind of issue comes, we usually has come to a point where our web-based system is popular. If we we have multiple users that connect uh, simultaneously to our web-based server or web-based technology. So that's why I think it won't be too much of a hassle. So we can we can try to get a new infrastructure that could solve these server issues, and hopefully by that time our web-based technology, our businesses have become flourish and could and able to give a solution where we have to let's say uh, spend a lot of money in web-based technology. So we could also say that an issue with the DNS, where the hackers come to us and try to deface our website and try to look like us and try to steal our users data, we could try to get it solved by simply using a secure connection, where I explained earlier, the HTTPS. So it's sometimes of security certified license that we can get it online for free. We have free ones such as Let's Encrypt. It has some disadvantages as well, but that is the better option, where we as the user, as the developer of our web-based technology, start from, and we don't have a lot of money. But when we are flourish, we have a popular web-based technology, we can get a more secure SSL certificate. You can get it online, and hopefully it could give a higher security and a a solution for this kind of issue. So you can also take a look of the references I provide about the web programming and internet technologies. You can search online for these references and try to learn more about the web-based technology. And I think that's how we need to discuss about today. See you again in the next meeting. See you and bye bye.